Scott Peterson was convicted in 2004 for the murder of his wife, Lacey Peterson, and their unborn son. This Friday, after 18 years in prison on death row, a court hearing will begin to determine if Scott Peterson will be granted a new trial. Here is a quick recap of the case so you can be up to date on what's happening. In December of 2002, 8-month pregnant Lacey Peterson is reported missing by her stepfather. Her husband, Scott Peterson, had called her parents looking for her when he returned home from a fishing trip and couldn't find Lacey. Scott tells police that he saw Lacey before leaving for his day fishing trip around 9:30 a.m. When he came home, she was gone. A neighbor had noticed their dog outside with his leash still on after Scott left for his trip, so they returned the dog to the backyard and saw no sign of Lacey. A manhunt begins for Lacey Peterson, and media begins covering the case. Neighbors and eyewitnesses come forward trying to talk to the police about how they had seen Lacey walking the dog the morning she went missing, but police weren't following up on any of those leads, claiming that they were all contradictory. In January, after a month of searching for Lacey, a woman named Amber Frey actually comes forward to police, revealing that she had been having a relationship with Scott for the last 2 months and then saw his picture on the news. She had no idea about his missing wife. She also informs them that when they met about a month before Lacey went missing, Scott actually told her that he had just lost his wife, that she was dead and this would be his first Christmas without her. He actually said all of this before Lacey even went missing, and this concerned Amber, which is why she went to police. Police ask Amber to keep it a secret, not to tell Scott that she knows, and to continue on with the relationship, recording all of their conversations in hopes that he would confess. He never does. He does continue the relationship, however, and despite the massive media coverage that showed his face and his wife's face, he kept up the lie to Amber as if she wasn't seeing things on TV. Police begin noticing Scott's strange behavior when it came to grieving and how he was still talking to Amber, his mistress, like his pregnant wife wasn't even missing. The media actually gets a hold of this and also begins pointing fingers at Scott. They release his alibi to the public that he had been fishing at the Berkeley Marina when his wife went missing months earlier. In April, the body of a fetus and woman are discovered washed up 2 miles north of the Berkeley Marina, where Scott said he was fishing that day. They are confirmed to be Lacey and her unborn baby. Police have zeroed in on Scott at this point, who had lawyered up since the beginning, and Lacey's family has now turned on him. Police discovered that 2 weeks before Lacey's disappearance, Scott had bought the boat he used to go fishing that day. On that boat, police found a pair of pliers with a hair on them that matched Lacey's. This would go on to be the only physical DNA evidence in the case against Scott Peterson. They also noticed bags of concrete that Scott said he used to make one homemade anchor. They found outlines on the floor, though, in concrete of more than one homemade anchor. Those possible extras were never found, and police speculated that they were what Scott had used to weigh down the bodies, and that's why they were missing. April 18th, after changing his appearance, Scott was actually arrested in a different city with $15,000 in cash, multiple cell phones, and his brother's ID. The media coverage is insane, with the pregnant wife gone missing and now found dead in the exact place that her husband said he was that day. The mistress, the lies, and strange behavior doesn't help. Eventually, jury is selected and Scott goes to trial. He claims innocence the whole way through. During the trial, the jury begins to break rule after rule, creating quite a mess in court. One is actually caught talking to Lacey's family and dismissed. Another is dismissed for conducting research outside of the court. Another one demands to quit after they believe that Scott is innocent, but is being bullied by other jurors to change their stance. They are replaced by juror number 7, who actually goes on to be the reason that we are here today talking about this, with the potential of Scott being granted a new trial. In November 2004, Scott is found guilty and sentenced to the death penalty. After the trial, the jury talks to the media, which is a big no-no. They celebrate the fact that they were able to, quote, fry Scott Peterson. There is no professionalism whatsoever when it comes to these jurors. And multiple jurors actually go on to write a book and profit off the fact that they were the ones who sentenced Scott Peterson to death. As Scott files appeal after appeal, a documentary comes out that you might have seen about the case that interviews jurors, eyewitnesses, and people involved. In this documentary, it confirms that there was multiple people and things overlooked by police. Over 10 plus people who know that they saw Laci that morning, but the state presented at trial that she was already dead at the time. Police had refused to talk to these eyewitnesses because their stories didn't align with the case. It comes out that the house across the street from the Petersons was robbed the same morning Laci went missing, and a prison inmate confirms over the phone that the two guys who robbed that house were interrupted by Laci walking her dog, and they killed her, then framed Scott. Eventually, it comes out that juror number 7 had lied on her jury questionnaire more than 17 years ago. She had experienced heavy domestic abuse while pregnant and has said multiple times that because of that, she was out to get Scott Peterson. And here we are today, awaiting the hearing to see if the state believes that Scott deserves a new trial. There are way more details to this case. I've barely covered it, but this was a brief overview of how we got here today. Stay tuned for updates.